Most men never think twice about eggs. They're cheap, filling, high protein, and for decades they were called the perfect food. And if you're over 40, you've probably eaten eggs your whole life without ever connecting them to your prostate, your hormones, or your vitality. But here's what most men don't realize until something feels off. When you eat the same food every single day, especially one that directly influences cholesterol, hormones, and inflammation, your body doesn't respond in neutral ways. It adapts. Sometimes that adaptation is helpful. Sometimes it quietly pushes you in the wrong direction. Today I want to talk calmly and honestly about what actually happens inside a man's body, especially the prostate. If he eats 3 eggs every day and why the answer is not as simple as good or bad. I'm speaking to you the way I speak to my own patients in the clinic. No shame, no scare tactics, no internet extremes. Just physiology, real-world patterns, and what decades of urology and men's health research have taught us. Because the prostate doesn't respond to food emotionally. It responds biochemically, hormonally, and over time. And eggs sit right at the intersection of 3 things your prostate deeply cares about: inflammation, hormone signaling, and metabolic stress. Let's start with the first thing that happens when you eat 3 eggs daily, especially if you've been doing it for months or years. Your cholesterol intake rises significantly. Eggs are one of the richest dietary sources of cholesterol, and while cholesterol itself is not the villain it was once made out to be, it is still a raw material for testosterone and other androgens. That's the part most men like to hear. More cholesterol means more testosterone building blocks, right? Sometimes. In younger, metabolically healthy men, moderate egg intake can support stable hormone production. But as men age, the way the body handles cholesterol changes. The liver becomes less efficient, insulin sensitivity declines, and inflammation rises more easily. That's when excess dietary cholesterol stops being neutral and starts becoming inflammatory fuel. Your prostate is not a passive organ. It's extremely sensitive to inflammatory signals. When systemic inflammation rises, even mildly, the prostate tissue responds by swelling, becoming more congested, and producing more local inflammatory compounds. This is one of the earliest biological steps toward benign prostatic enlargement. Not overnight, not dramatically, quietly, gradually. A man doesn't wake up one morning and suddenly have prostate problems because of eggs. What happens instead is that years of subtle signals add up, and the prostate adapts by growing denser, more reactive, and more irritable. Now let's talk about choline, a nutrient found in very high amounts in egg yolks. Choline is essential for brain health, nerve signaling, and liver function. But here's the part most men never hear. When choline is metabolized by certain gut bacteria, it produces a compound called TMAO. Elevated TMAO levels are associated with increased systemic inflammation and vascular dysfunction. In men with already compromised gut health, which includes a large percentage of men over 50, high daily egg consumption can increase this inflammatory load. And again, the prostate feels that downstream effect. This is why 2 men can eat the exact same diet and have completely different prostate outcomes. One man eats eggs daily and feels energetic, lean, and stable. Another develops urinary issues, pelvic discomfort, or worsening PSA numbers over time. The difference isn't the egg, it's the metabolic environment the egg enters. Now let's talk about PSA, because this is where a lot of fear gets introduced unnecessarily. PSA is not a cancer marker. It is a prostate activity marker. Anything that increases inflammation, pressure, or cellular turnover in the prostate can raise PSA slightly. That includes infections, cycling, ejaculation, and yes, dietary inflammation. Men who eat 3 eggs daily and also consume a typical Western diet, refined carbs, processed oils, low fiber, may see gradual PSA elevation over time. Not because eggs are causing cancer, but because they're contributing to an inflammatory environment the prostate doesn't like. But here's the other side of the coin, and this is important. Eggs are also rich in fat-soluble vitamins, selenium, and high-quality protein. Protein supports muscle mass, insulin sensitivity, and testosterone stability. Muscle mass itself is protective for prostate health. Men with higher lean muscle tend to have better hormone regulation and lower inflammatory burden. So again, eggs are not inherently harmful. Context matters more than the food itself. What about vitality? This is where men often notice the effects before lab numbers change. Some men report feeling more energized, more stable in mood, and more physically strong when they eat eggs regularly. That's real. Eggs provide steady amino acids and fats that blunt blood sugar spikes. But other men notice the opposite after months or years: sluggishness, heavier digestion, subtle weight gain around the abdomen, and decreased morning energy. That's not random. That's metabolic adaptation shifting. As men age, their bodies become less forgiving of repetitive dietary patterns. Variety becomes protective. When you eat 3 eggs every day without rotating protein sources, you reduce dietary diversity. That impacts gut bacteria, micronutrient balance, and inflammatory signaling. Over time, this can subtly influence estrogen metabolism as well. Yes, men have estrogen, and yes, how you process it matters for prostate health. Poor estrogen clearance is strongly associated with prostate enlargement. This is why some men eating eggs daily experience increased nighttime urination over time. Not because eggs irritate the bladder directly, but because hormonal signaling and prostate tone are shifting. The prostate sits directly under the bladder. Even small changes in size or inflammation can affect urinary flow. Now let us address the big unspoken question men ask but rarely say out loud. Does eating eggs every day affect sexual vitality? Indirectly, yes. Not through libido suppression, but through vascular health. Erections are blood flow events. TMAO, inflammation, and lipid imbalance can impair endothelial function over time. In men already dealing with metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance, excessive egg consumption without balance can subtly worsen vascular flexibility. Again, this takes years, not weeks. So what's the balanced truth? Eating 3 eggs daily is not dangerous by default, but it is not neutral either. It is a metabolic decision. For some men, it supports strength and hormone stability. For others, it quietly increases inflammation that the prostate reacts to. This is why I advise most of my patients to think in cycles, not absolutes. Eggs can be part of a prostate-supportive diet when paired with high-fiber vegetables, omega-3 fats, and regular movement. Eggs become problematic when they're combined with processed meats, refined carbs, and sedentary habits. The prostate doesn't respond to single foods. It responds to patterns. If you love eggs, rotate them. 2 or 3 days on, a few days off. Pair them with cruciferous vegetables that support estrogen clearance. Make sure your gut health is supported with fiber. And most importantly, listen to subtle changes in your body. Nighttime urination, pelvic heaviness, or digestive sluggishness are signals, not failures. Your prostate is not fragile, but it is responsive. The goal isn't restriction, it's intelligent consistency. Food should support vitality, not quietly tax it. And if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Prostate health isn't about fearing foods. It's about understanding how your body responds over time. Eggs aren't the enemy. Blind repetition is. If this helped you understand your body a little better, stay curious, stay observant, and remember, your vitality is built through patterns, not panic.